You want to buy my collection? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of this Bourbon Podcast. I'm your host, Perry. With me remotely, because it's a hellscape of ice and snow out there, the Whiskey Mutant.
It me.
It you.
I'm cold.
What up, dog?
What up? What up, bro?
What up, bro?
It really is cold here.
It's
and
miserable.
It's nasty.
I haven't checked the temperature in a while, but the last time I did, it was -7.
I was -6 the last time I looked.
And that's not even with the wind chill. Okay, it's -2 right now.
Oh, we're getting closer. Getting closer to positive numbers.
We're warming up.
Oh.
But apparently it feels like it's -25. So
I let the dogs out earlier, and Stan just looked at me like I was the most evil person ever. I'm like, you gotta use the bathroom, you little turd.
You gotta pee, brother.
You were made. You're an animal. You were made for this.
Marie and Salute kind of did the same thing.
Yeah,
they just ran out and ran back in. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for checking out the show. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. If you're returning, thanks so much for coming back and listening to another episode.
Thanks for coming on. You know what?
Or watching us on YouTube.
Sit down. It's going to be a good episode. Take your shoes off. Warm up.
Relax.
Just have a good time.
Yeah. This is the episode of the year that we always very much look forward to.
That's probably the episode of the year that people talk to us the most through their headphones or through their stereo
for sure.
Or something.
For sure.
Like, what are you doing?
Screaming.
That one?
Screaming at their iPods.
Yeah. No, that's not right.
How dare you, sir?
How dare you put this? How dare you even make a list?
So I wanted to run this by you too. I haven't. I was kind of conjecturing about this privately.
Okay.
But I wanted to do in January a campaign, I guess, to get
on Halo.
No.
Oh.
On Call of Duty.
Oh. Okay.
Because it's got the word duty in the name.
Duty.
No, I wanted to, because we haven't had a new review on Apple or anywhere on the podcast in a long time.
Yeah, we really haven't.
So I figured what we do is, if you haven't left a review yet, during the month of January, if you leave one, we will put you into a giveaway for some samples.
Ooh.
And
it's
maybe
a review-a-thon.
Maybe they'll include our number ones of 2022.
I can do that. I got enough left.
I could probably do that too.
There you go.
I don't think we have the same ones this year.
I will give a sample of my number one and my least favorite of the year.
Well, I think I know what your least favorite is. But yeah, so during the month of January, we're going to do a little giveaway just to encourage people to get us some more reviews. It's a really good way for other people to find us. It pushes us up in the algorithm, the search algorithm. I don't know exactly how that works. I just know that it does. So aside from telling
a rhythm, review rhythm.
Aside from, telling your friends about the show, telling them to listen, that is just about the best way for people to find what we do.
Yeah.
So do those things.
Do it.
And also follow us on social media at My Bourbon Pod and at Whiskey Mutant.
That's me.
You can also check out all of our apparel and merchandise on bourbonshop.threadless.com or at whiskeymutant.myshopify.com.
My store is under construction at the moment because I got to thank people for having so many random orders that I was afraid that my inventory was off because I was getting low on everything. So I stopped it for a second because I need to go through what's left because I'm about out of everything and I don't want anybody to order anything and my counts be off. So I apologize if you go to that and you don't see it there. I will have that up shortly.
Cool. So a post-Christmas, post-holiday sale.
Yeah. Yeah.
something like
Maybe
that.
I'll do something crazy like everything's $1. Let's go.
And then you can also support the show at patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $1 a month. For as little as $5 a month, you get a bunch of bonus content. That includes the pregame chats, which we do before every single episode. We're in the middle. We are just
went
about.
off.
You did. Yeah, you named people too. And now you're on a list.
Yeah.
But we're also finishing up season 3 of Samply Irresistible. We're going to start out the new year with the season finale of that. And then we're going to start a new 6-week show just to give Samply Irresistible and Pours from the Floor a break for a little bit. Oh, and you can listen to all that Patreon stuff directly in your podcast app. You don't have to use the Patreon app. You can get an exclusive RSS feed, which you can just pop right in to your podcast app, except for Spotify. Spotify is the only one that doesn't allow it.
Oh, sorry.
That's
the whole thing.
Spotify for you.
Yeah.
Anyway. What's next? What are we doing?
Sips and
Sips and snacks.
Oh, I got a special one for you.
I even had the cookie sitting out in front of me.
I got a special one for you.
For me?
Well, for you to do. Because I obviously know what are in these sample bottles, and you do not know what are in these sample bottles.
It's true, I don't. I'm as blind as a baby bat.
You kind of do, but I'm not going to remind you.
Well, I know what's in one.
Yeah. So I want you to take, I labeled them 1 and 2, and I want you to pair them with this Snickerdoodle cookie from Crumble that I have to give a shout out to my buddy Mike, a.k.a. Whiskey Morg, and his wife, Mal. They, for a little Christmas surprise, they ordered me Crumble cookies.
Oh.
And had them sent to the house, and I have been eating on those, and the kids have been eating on those, and it's pretty awesome. Like,
man.
I just said I ranted in the pregame chats about Instagram, but I have to admit, Whiskey Morg has become one of my really good, if not one of my best Instagram friends. And we talk about him on the show and all this stuff, but he just did that. Like, they sent a whole box of them, to us.
Freaking awesome.
Yeah. So,
thanks, Mike.
Yeah. So follow Mike at Whiskey Morg and follow his wife, at Cookies, Carrots, Chemistry. She makes cookies and she does cookie art and stuff like that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. She's awesome. They're a great set of people. They have a beautiful little baby. And thanks. So this Sips and Snacks is brought to you by Whiskey Morg.
There you go.
So this is the Snickerdoodle cookie that was in there. It's a big, soft Snickerdoodle cookie. And Perry loves Snickerdoodle cookies.
I do love Snickerdoodle cookies. They're one of my favorites.
Yes. So I want you to pair the 2 samples, and I want you to tell me which one is the best. And then I'll explain where we got to this. To this.
I'm being challenged.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to pour them up too. Try not to show you. Tried these the other day when I was getting this ready, and it was kind of a split decision, but yes, I want you to rank them one or 2, which pairing is the best. That cookie is so good.
I'm just going straight for the pour over, too.
Do it.
Whoa.
If you're listening to this, you can go to YouTube and watch this. Oh, sorry. I'm going to cover the mic.
I appreciate you.
Ooh, that's good too. Both are ridiculously good.
I think I know which one I like better. But I don't know if that necessarily means that it's the one that you went with. You know what I mean?
I like them both. I don't necessarily. I'm not really ranking them. I just want you to rank it.
Okay. I've made my decision.
Okay. It's a good pairing, both of them, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's an April 2.
Yes.
It does something to it that the first one doesn't. The first one complements it really well, but the second one explodes. It makes it into like it introduces fruit to it in a way that the first one doesn't.
The first one really like just expands on the snickerdoodle note, and it's like snickerdoodle. The second one really takes a snickerdoodle and it adds kind of like a extra flavor, like some extra icing or something like that to it.
Yeah. It's almost like a strawberry cream icing.
Yeah. So we just compared, and there's a little bit of, what is it when you put like the little symbol beside of asterisk at the bottom of this?
Asterisk, yeah.
But I think in 2023, I don't necessarily want to have a competition, but I want to pair with Peggy No Stevens. And she put out her Christmas pairings, and she paired a snickerdoodle cookie with a 4 Roses pick that she did. So I got a 4 Roses pick that was the same recipe, almost the same proof, and that's what number 1 was. Number 1 was a 4 Roses.
Dang!
Paired with snickerdoodle, a single barrel pick, OBSF. And she also did like her bourbon women pick with that. And she kind of said that, like it complements like the snickerdoodle. So I said, I'm going to try to change it up. So I paired it with Pursuit United Rye.
Yeah, you did.
To kind of spice it up and add a different flavor to it. So I wanted to put my pairing up against Peggy's pairing.
Yeah.
Which, in all honesty, like, she's probably the GOAT pair. Like, no joke. Like, she's the GOAT of pairing.
Still, though. I like the challenge of it, though. I like that.
Yes.
You know, because, I mean, it's the same way that we talk about, you know, how you drink your bourbon.
Yeah.
There's no one way or another that should be considered the right way. Excuse me.
Yes.
And I think it gives you a sense of ownership in a way that just parroting what somebody else has already done doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to talk about that a little bit in tips and bits too, because it's a book. I'm going to recommend another book, but there's a specific passage in it or a specific story in it that I'm going to recommend and bring that back up.
Yeah, that's me and April were kind of talking about like resolutions for New Year's. And I don't really talk about a lot of mine. They're just kind of personal stuff. But one thing was I would like to read more. Like, yeah, at least read a couple of books. Like I love comic books, like graphic novels, and you know that's not like reading an actual like book.
Yeah.
So I want to do that. I got a couple other things, but that's one of the things on the list I want to try to do more is read. But
I mean, it's definitely something that I'm going to continue doing into the new year. Yeah. And I started out really strong because in the first week of listening to these audiobooks, which as I said in High Proof Hot Takes last week, I do still consider reading. I made my way through 5 books, and one of them was 29 hours long. So,
damn,
I could have had like at least 2 more if I hadn't read that one.
I don't even know if I read one book or listened to a book.
So 5 in a week, I think, is pretty decent. I'm not upset about that.
Yes.
I'm in the middle of one very manic book right now too. It's Bob Dylan's new book.
It's crazy. You've been talking about that.
Crazy, man. It's wild stuff. The dude's something else. But anyway, what have you been drinking recently?
What have I been drinking? Well, we teased it last episode that I said I traded a bottle for a bottle, and that bottle that I spoke of was the Calumet 16 year. You want to pour that up?
Yeah, I do. Right now? Oh man, you surprised me with it too last Saturday.
Yes. So yeah, me and we had our little family get together for Christmas.
Your wife bullied me.
Perry got bullied for being a nice boy. But I had such a good time.
It was so good, man. It was so much fun.
I pulled this bottle out.
Lucy
never
got
had it.
really
opened
drunk.
it right there. Lucy got drunk.
She got so drunk.
She was on one.
Gran was there.
Gran was there. She was nice to Perry this time.
Your daughter and her friend were
laughing at Perry the whole time.
Yeah.
It was just a good old time. We got presents. Perry got me an original Star Wars poster that was like a re-release poster of the original, and it had coming soon Revenge of the Jedi instead of Return, in which they changed the title. And that is still in the living room. April moved it.
It's been almost a week.
If I make it past Christmas, if it's in there when we take Christmas pictures the day of and stuff, I'm going to say I won. It's literally covering half of our family portrait.
So much. Yeah, and Eric got me. So for anybody who doesn't know, I my go-to shoe is these Adidas Superstars.
Yeah,
I guess is what they're called. I didn't even really know that until
and if you're just like I'm a big sneaker guy, and like just like people waiting in line or getting online for bourbon and stuff, I'm doing that for sneakers and stuff. But I originally thought I'm gonna get Perry a pair of shoes. But then it's like I'm so picky about my shoes, and I know Perry probably is too, because he really sticks to one thing, and I don't want to get the wrong size and stuff. So I spun it around a little bit on you.
And instead of getting me a pair of shoes, you got me a Lego set that is this shoe.
It's so cool.
It's the coolest thing, dude. It came in a shoebox that had that shoe paper in it too.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? That for, you
you
listeners.
Pull the little paper up, yeah.
Yeah, like it's, the paper that comes in a shoebox. It was in the box with the Legos.
And one of the pieces is a real shoelace.
Yeah. It's not like Lego lace or anything. It's a shoelace that you tie up when you're done building the shoe. It's so crazy, man. I just love it so much. It brought me so much joy.
I can't wait to see that put together.
I can't wait to have the time to put it together.
Yeah, it's a big set too.
But so that initially what I wanted to get for you was, well, there were two sides to this. The first thing I thought I was going to do was get you back for the shot glass you gave me last year. And it was all just going to be like
embarrassing things.
But it was it was specifically going to be like 2-inch penis club something or other. Like just flipping it on you. Yeah. But then I can't remember what we were watching, and they had a poster for Revenge of the Jedi. And I was like, oh, Eric's a poster guy. Eric loves Star Wars. I wanted to get a Revenge of the Jedi, like an actual Revenge of the Jedi.
I bet that would have been insane.
It was so expensive, dude.
I bet.
I mean, like, I was a little freaked out by seeing how much money it would have been to get one of those. But I thought that this was super cool, though. Like, it's still an original movie theater poster.
Dude, it's in such good shape too, because it's almost metallic looking.
Yeah,
like the colors they use. I loved it so much. I immediately took a poster that already had a Kill Bill poster, original Kill Bill poster. I took that out, put it in a tube.
Well, you didn't just take it out. You took it out of your kid's room.
Yeah. Eli stole that from my basement, a Kill Bill. It's got Uma Thurman on it. Like, I mean, I don't blame him, but I took that, and I took it out, and I put the Star Wars poster in it immediately, and I set it on the mantle above our family portrait. And it's still there. Like April's kind of mentioned it once, and I was like, yeah, I'll take care of it later. But it's still there, and if it's still there till Christmas, I'm going to say that's a win.
I love that. That's so funny, dude.
What you been drinking?
What I've been drinking? Well, we reviewed the Russell's Single Rick House last night on the live stream.
We did.
We're gonna get into our thoughts about that. I think once we get
I'll
to
talk
our top
about
10
it.
list.
It's gonna come up again.
Yeah. It's been a pretty quiet week around here. I haven't really done anything too crazy or off the wall. We went over to my brother and his wife's house, Dane and Lindsay's house. You know what I'm about to bring up?
Oh, I love this so much.
I haven't shared this with anybody other than Eric, and I meant to sooner, but
I cried. I cried when I saw when you sent me this stuff. When you sent me
I brought over some of my infinity bottles for him to try, for my dad to try, and he goes, "Oh, I've got one of those too." Meaning I've got an infinity bottle too. And I was like, that's the craziest thing. I was not expecting that from him at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll put the picture up on the screen. But what he pulled out of his cabinet was the chodiest little mason jar of all time that wasn't even halfway full of bourbon.
Oh,
and it was good
much.
Too. It was
what
good
did he
stuff.
say was in it?
He didn't tell me. I don't even know if he really remembers. That's not something that he would have he would have retained.
Because Dane doesn't have like a huge like whiskey collection, does he?
No, he
just kind of randomly gets things and stuff like that.
And truth be told, he doesn't really drink bourbon that much. If he has a drink, it's typically beer.
Yeah. Side note, him and his wife are the nicest people. Like, I genuinely think one of my favorite things about our meetup was we had dinner. We reserved a section of this restaurant, had dinner, and it wound up being me and April, Dane. What's Dane's wife's name?
Lindsay,
and then you came over, and I had such a good time just sitting and talking to them. They were so cool.
Yeah, they're just sweet. They're just the sweetest people. And I've not really ever talked about this too much. I don't think on anything on the main podcast feed. But from the time Dane was 10 until he was 16, he had a very difficult battle with Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And so, we worried that there was going to be all this hardship for him once he got back into, for lack of a better word, society. You know what I mean? Like once he kind of re-entered normal life, essentially. And the kid just knocked it out of the park. I mean, he's doing great. He's got he still has kind of a weak immune system, but he's living his best life.
Yeah.
He's a professor at UK and BCTC. He has his master's and he's currently going for his doctorate as well.
I'm freaking working on my own master's and I'm freaking an old man. What is he, 23, 24?
He is 26.
26.
He'll be 27 in January.
He's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's something I don't think I have the fortitude to do, is go back to school.
I fucking hate it, dude.
I hated school so much. I still have, I know I've talked about this recently. I still have high school and college dreams that I haven't gone to classes or I haven't done the work. And it's like right before graduation. And I find out that I have to come back for another semester. And I just like,
Lucy, oh God, I'm late for class. She's like, what?
It of course all feels very real in the dream as it's happening. But when I wake up, that anxiety is gone. Like I don't, I can eliminate that pretty quickly.
Right.
Honestly. So,
no, but I love Dane's little infinity jar.
It's it's my favorite thing. Dude. Yeah.
It's my favorite thing.
I wound up putting some of the Knob Creek Infinity in there for him too.
Those are still over there on the floor. I've not got them. I'll put them back on the shelf.
Yeah, that's something else that we did when I was over there. We kind of talked about it a little bit on last week's episode, but I have a whole bunch of Infinity bottles that are just specific to one brand,
right,
or one particular product. So like Knob Creek single barrel Infinity bottles, Russell's single barrel. Now that I think about it, these are all just single barrels, aren't they?
Elijah Craig. Yeah. Well,
Elijah Craig barrel proof. That's the one outlier.
It's got single barrels in it though.
It does, but a lot of them are batches.
Yeah.
But I said that, I wanted to, find a way to keep improving them. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't ever want those projects to be done.
Yeah.
And Eric was like, well, bring them over tomorrow night. And sure enough, I did. And we went through a whole bunch of your bottles.
A lot.
Yeah. And it was funny because I felt like I was putting too much in.
No. I've drank on these. You've sent me samples of them, and we tried them, and like I took out just as much probably, but I don't know. I love it. Like I know where people are like, get to your list, but like
we'll get there. The lists are really not going to take that long. I have a little bit of news I want to talk about as well.
2022 was a big change in the way I bought and kept whiskey. Well, I feel like for the past couple of years, I was buying a lot because I wanted to try a lot of things. And I was very bad about FOMO, but the past probably year, and I got to thank you and other people, I have got to try so many things by samples.
Yeah.
And it really changed my mind about actually feeling like I had to have a physical bottle of something.
Yeah.
Like I've opened more things that I have, and I've decided to finish more things. And I'm like, I don't have to have this huge whiskey collection. Like, I feel like sometimes in my head, I'm like, oh, I got to have this collection. If somebody comes over that's never been over, I want them to be like, oh, look at all this stuff. And now I've kind of got it to where it's like, I don't have to have that. Like, I don't need that. If somebody comes over, I know I've got things that people will enjoy. And I am much more interested in having a sample of something and then deciding if I want to buy it, as opposed to feeling like I have to go out and find this bottle because I may not never try it. I feel like I have the chance to try pretty much anything I want because of the people we are around and you. And so, I think my whiskey collection has diminished a little bit because I've shared a lot more things, and I'm not worried.
Mine definitely has fluctuated this year.
And I'm not worried anymore about having to have that in case somebody comes over, or I got to have that because we may never get it or I may never try it. Yep. I'm more relaxed with my purchases now. If I know something's going to be good, or if it's something that comes around each year that I just got to have, I'm going to spend it. I'm going to spend my money and get it. But I don't necessarily feel like I have to get everything now, because there's probably a chance that somebody can send me one and I can trade a sample, and I just don't have to have that much. Like, I mean, we pretty much, we say this all the time. What I have is yours and what yours is mine, me and you. And so it's like, I feel like I've got two collections now. I've got, Barry gets it, I'll try it. If I get it, he'll try it and we'll share it. And I don't know. I just feel I'm more relaxed. I'm less stressed about worrying about, and I know somebody may be like, you were stressed about whiskey, but
it comes with the territory, because,
like,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's like when it's something that you really like and you're invested in. Like, I enjoy whiskey so much. Like, there's a little bit of stress about what if I don't get to try this, or what if I don't get this bottle, or, and all that. And now I'm like, if I don't get it, I don't get it. If I just want to ask for a sample, I don't mind a bit to trade a sample with somebody. So that's that's a change that I will continue on into the next year. But yeah, it's just been I don't have to worry about keeping this one single barrel that I've had for 7 years because it's like, well, I may not never get it. Well, I'm going to get another single barrel. There's always going to be
another single barrel.
Yeah, like it's stuff like that. Like so.
What I was going to say too is that it very much does come with the territory of being a collector and comparing what you have to what other people have. Mm-hmm. And so your brain is always kind of doing these mental gymnastics of, well, it'd be great for me to have that in my collection to share with people, or, I really want to have this to complete the set or whatever. But I am very much in that same boat, and I came to that same conclusion, not necessarily because I wanted to. In some ways I did, because it is a lot of money, I want to spend. I'm trailing off a little bit, but I also was kind of put into that situation by having a kid.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
this is our first child. Having a kid's expensive, and I need to have the money to support my wife and child financially. That's just it comes with the territory. So yeah, and we talked about this on our customers versus retail episode a couple weeks ago. But we are in a very privileged position where we don't necessarily have to go hunt for stuff to get to try it.
Yeah.
We do get sent samples by distilleries and PR companies and whatnot. And that is it's a really cool feeling. It does really, help us out a lot. And I mean, there are some bottles that I do wish I had in my collection.
Of course.
And I will probably wind up making the exception at some point for a couple of these. But it's so much more about the experience anymore for me than it is trying to hold on to that memory or hold on to that experience with a tangible item like a bottle. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and this kind of leads into something too that I wanted to ask you. And I think that we probably have the same answer, but what was your top whiskey moment of the year?
Top whiskey moment?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was a freaking event. It was my top whiskey moment was just putting together with you the 10 BIP weekend and just everything that surrounded that. I think that's a whiskey moment because it was nothing but whiskey for 2 or 3 days.
And one menthol cigarette.
And a menthol cigarette with a grandma that puts me on another level. But yeah, it was that. It was the weekend. I think that as a whole is my top whiskey moment. I mean, there was tons of cool releases. There was tons of news. There was tons of this and that and whatever. But that whole experience was my whiskey moment of the year.
This year was kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel finally getting reached for me after basically 2 years of pandemic and COVID anxiety. And while I agree with you, I mean, This Is My Bourbon Weekend was easily my top moment of the year, just because it was so special and it was the culmination of so much work and so much. It required a lot of patience from us, that we kind of very quickly had to learn how to adapt to that, because it was a different form of anxiety making sure that everything went the way that we wanted it to. And to be quite honest, too, it goes without saying, but shoot, man, it wouldn't have happened or been as successful if we didn't have the turnout that we did.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the people, you guys listening or watching, you all are what made that event such a success. It's because you showed up and had faith in what it was that we wanted to do. And
I mean, the amount of people who bought tickets just for the live show, just to have that,
just to come see us,
to be a part of that, like, was amazing. Like, and I'm not saying anything about the people who bought the VIP and stuff. Like, you guys, you made the show happen.
Oh, that was that was
VIP
what
people. Yeah,
that is how the show was even a possibility.
Yeah,
was the fact that everybody who was at the VIP,
you all made that
committed
show happen.
to it. Yeah.
But then live show comes around. I'm like, well, I was kind of worried. I was like, what if it's just the people who bought the VIP? Okay, we're going to have a live show with our closest friends, and I'm going to be fine with it. But it's out there, and you don't want to like put it out there and then start counting and be like, well, the amount of people who came from out of town that I had never met before, or that I've only like talked to on the internet or something, that just came because they were like, we're going to watch you live, was absolutely amazing. Like, we filled that room. There was no food left that we had got ready. There was no samples left that we had put out. Stickers, like, our wives were talking to people. Like, I mean, like, it was just insane.
It was
it still blows my mind that many people showed up for a live show.
Yeah. It just blows me away.
Yeah.
It really does. And Eric and I have kind of started in nebulous terms, figuring out what next year's is going to look like. And I mean, ideally it's going to be even bigger and we're going to take more risks, and we're going to have more opportunities to experience next year.
Yeah.
But we're more news on that will come soon.
Yeah.
Sit tight. We're actively, it's actively in development, as they say
I would
in the
probably
biz.
see some announcements probably in a month or so.
I'd say so too. Say so too. So stay tuned for that. Two other ones that I wanted to note, and I talked about it being like a return to form, or being able to kind of break out of the COVID anxiety bubble. Being able to go to Whiskey Weekend for a night or an afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
And just see so many people that I had not seen in 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years that I had missed. It made me feel so good. Like it because there were so many of those people hold such a special place in my heart because of all the memories and treasures that we built together in the first two Whiskey Weekends. And it's just that was such a heartwarming return to old times in the midst of such turbulent change.
Yep.
And the other one is maybe a little bit more selfish, but I got to be back on It's Bourbon Night for the first time in a while.
There you go, boy.
I did that live stream with Chad a few months ago. It was great, man. I love doing collaborations like that, and I was on. I didn't even think about the podcasts that we were on this year. I was on Moose Lounge. I was on Whiskey and Whitetails. We were on the Lexington Business Show.
Yeah.
That one is a huge moment for us too that felt so special, and it felt like we had earned that opportunity.
Well,
too.
I think that's a special moment too for me because it wasn't necessarily whiskey related. Like that was not a whiskey show. So somebody was like, I want you guys on here to talk about what you all do, and not necessarily, hey, let's review a bottle together or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was our hometown. Like, it's like, this is our area. And like, there's nothing more that I want than local people to be interested in us. Like, we have people from around the freaking world
literally
listen to us. And it's like some people down the street don't even, you know what I mean? So it's like, I love that. Yeah. This was, a lot of good collabs. I was on, we were both on Embellish Pod separately. That was fun. I got to be
was
on
that this year?
I was on this year.
Was I on this year?
I feel like you might have been. I don't know.
I feel like it was right around that time I was having a little bit of like a quarter life crisis of faith, and like, is what I'm even doing still relevant? Like, could I still?
Yeah.
What would it look like if I removed myself from the entire situation?
I don't know.
I think that was this year. I think that was this year. Now that I really stop and think about it.
So I was on that. That was fun. I was on David Adam Levine's Patreon. What is it? The influencer.
Under the Influencer.
Under the Influencer. What else? We had Wrestling with Whiskey on. Our friend Matt.
Oh my gosh.
Aiden English was on.
We had a friggin' good year, man.
It was my first time doing media at a festival at Louder Than Life this year.
Bourbon and Beyond was incredible. More festivals next year.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for a pretty big one, too.
Okay.
Have I told you about this?
I don't know. Well, I don't think we've talked about any festivals.
I'll say this: the one that I just applied for us to be at, they're sold out
already.
Yeah, they sold out on the first day of tickets being available.
Damn.
So,
we'll see.
We will see for sure.
We'll see.
Let us know too, whether you're on Patreon, whether you're on YouTube, if you want to tweet at us, send us an email at my bourbon pod. This is my bourbon shop at gmail.com. Let us know what were your favorite moments from the podcast this year.
Yeah. I'll put it in the comments below if you're watching.
I got one piece of news before we get to our top 10 lists. You and I, we just talked about this on Tuesday when you came over to swap some samples. But it's been confirmed that Matthew McConaughey is leaving his position with Wild Turkey as their creative director.
No.
Coming from the Rob Report, they basically just said that it wasn't like any kind of tension or anything. His contract just is up with Wild Turkey at the end of the year.
Well, I mean, he's already made the product, so it's like, you know, what else is there?
He's not really, and he's not really doing anything else either.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah,
but we kind of had an inclination that this was about to happen earlier in the month when his name was removed from the Long Branch label. But he's not like I said, he's not leaving because they weren't getting along. I don't know how you couldn't get along with Jimmy and Eddie. Like,
no.
But anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that.
There's your quick news.
Yeah,
Tim
quick hot news.
Quick hot news coming in at you.
It's so hot, so quick. The moment has arrived, Eric. It's time for us to talk about it. Are you ready?
For y'all get ready to be mad.
Who's ready? Here's the thing.
What pull my list.
This was a crazy list for me this year. I really had to whittle it down to, like, it took a lot of thinking and anxiety developing my top 10. But there are so many that I could intersperse or easily kind of replace in this list. But I just, like, when I think back on the experiences that we've had, or I think back on, the pours that have been the most significant, or the ones that I'm the happiest that we were able to try, that's kind of where my top 10 came in. I don't have as many disappointments, I guess, as I thought I did. That list is much smaller. It's less than half as big as my honorable mentions.
And like I was telling you earlier, or I think maybe on the pregame, but like I kind of put more thought into it this year. Last year, I was kind of, it's my first year on the podcast, and I'm like, oh, like, what am I going to do? And I kind of just put the stuff that, like, I thought needed to be on there because of, like, maybe the scores we gave and stuff like this. But this year, I put more thought into it because I knew it was coming up. And I put more into my list as far as, like, experience and things surrounding the pour. And not just necessarily like, hey, you gave this bottle a 17, but you didn't put it on your top 10. Like, it's not just about like what I gave a score. It's kind of what I went back to, stuff that kind of impressed me because of certain reasons and stuff like that. So I think, disclaimer, obviously these are our own opinions. And I'll explain a little bit. I don't think we're not gonna spend a ton of time on each one, but if there's something that's kind of weird, I know that I'm going to tell you why I put it on there.
Yeah. Criteria. I think we've gone over this before. Wide releases. Mm-hmm. Some of them, yes, do a not insignificant portion of these do wind up being LEs.
Yeah.
And it has to have been something that we have had.
Yeah.
Something that we have drank this year.
I have a little list of stuff that I, in my head, probably could have been contenders, but I didn't get to try that I was going to say.
Like the wish lists.
Yeah.
I wish, like BTAC. Like, that's an easy one. We didn't get to try.
Yeah. Four Roses Limited 2022.
Didn't get to try it. Old Forester birthday bourbon.
Each Taylor Barrel Proof from this year. Like, we unfortunately didn't get to try that. I put the little Coy Hill. What was it? A small batch Coy Hill?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't get to try that one.
We got on their mailing list too late.
Yeah. So those were four things that unfortunately probably good chances of being on there, but we just didn't get to try them. So I'm not going to just say like this is on my list because I didn't try it, but based on what other people say. So
yeah. So with that in mind, do you want to start with our most disappointing bourbons of the year? Let's get the elephant out of the room just so we can move on from it. I think my most disappointing, hands down, was Hidden Barn.
Oh, number one on my most disappointing. I think I put that the first thing. I got 3 on my most disappointed. Hidden Barn, unfortunately, it just wasn't good for me. I've not tried any of the other batches, but that initial release was very, like, it almost made me upset about how it was.
It almost really pissed me off to the point of I wanted to punch a hole in my wall.
It really did, because you go from this person that like Jackie, all face of old foe there, and I was just expecting her to come in with this hitter of like something, maybe it'd be a little different. Maybe I didn't want it to be just Old Forester 2.0. but like it was different to the point where it just wasn't good. It's just not good.
What really kind of like put me over the edge with being disappointed in that whole experience was that interview that they did with Uprocks a few weeks ago, where they basically said, if you don't like it, you don't get it.
Yeah.
And
It's
not
like, what?
everybody's going to get it. And it's like, no, people are entitled to say that they don't like your product.
Yeah.
I'm not saying be mean about it. I'm saying be honest. And we talked about this too with the way that we review things. We're not trying to be mean, but we are upfront. We are honest about the way that we feel about bottles that we try.
Yeah.
And it just, Hidden Barn just was not for me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
there was a couple of other things too that came up after it, and they were trying to justify things, and it's like you shouldn't be justifying it, saying it's only for us. Like, if you have a product that's different, there's going to be something that people find good in it anyway, and they're going to enjoy something about it. And there really wasn't hardly anything I enjoyed, probably nothing I enjoyed about that.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't number these. I just want to kind of run through some of them. The two Booker's batches that we had, Lumberyard and Ronnie's, I thought they were okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Castle and Key batches 1 and 2.
I got that on mine.
Rye
Castle
bourbon.
and Key batch 1 and 2. Very big disappointment.
I didn't want to put these two together because I did like one of them significantly more than the other. But I think it's just the best way to go about it. Wise Man Rye and Bourbon from Kentucky Owl.
I don't have that, but I can agree.
OKI Reserve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nelson Bros Reserve Bourbon.
I've got that on there.
Did not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my last one is Woodford Reserve Honey.
Oh, that was. I don't even know if I got to try that.
I don't think you did.
I made my own.
Yeah, you made your own, and it definitely had to be better than what we tried.
The last thing I got on my most disappointed in, people may start punching me. I was disappointed in all 3 batches of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I will amend mine to say the first 2. Yeah.
I was disappointed in.
They're all going to be good and probably a buy for people, but like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like it just every year Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs just kind of start dipping a little bit, and they just, I enjoyed the picks. I'm not putting picks on my list, but I enjoyed the picks of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof way more than I enjoyed the batches this year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Honorable mentions.
Honorable.
This list is so long. It's.
I
would say
got
it's
10.
exhausting. I went. How about this? I'll mention some significant ones.
How many do you got? More than 10?
At least 20.
Oh shit. Okay.
Probably closer to 30 than 20.
Oh my Lord. Okay. You mention a few, and if I got them, I'll say it, and if not, then I'll mention a few, and we'll get through these.
3 different Jack Daniel's products: the twice barreled,
okay,
bonded, and triple mash.
I have JD bonded and triple mash. I thought those were great products. Maybe not contenders, but very good.
Kentucky Owl Takumi, I was very surprised by.
Oh, okay.
The 2 Hardin's Creek releases that came out this year, thought they were both great. Of course, like the older one better, but I still thought that the 2-year had a lot of merit to it.
Yeah.
Michter's 10-year rye. I wound up not putting it in my top 10.
I have that one on my honors as well.
Gotcha. EJ Curley, I didn't put in my top 10 because it's Kentucky only.
I have the EJ Curley single barrels. I think that they were especially for us, a surprise, like contender that we kind of found out of nowhere and kind of got to know them a little bit. But yeah, the single barrels to me varied. The small batch is decent. But the single barrel varied enough to where I liked some more than the other. So I think it's good enough to mention.
Yeah. And they continue to surprise us. So
Yeah, we don't know what's going on.
hopefully there's a mystery that gets resolved soon.
Yeah.
Willet 8-year. I put in my honorable mentions because I do like it.
Yeah. I will say it opened up significantly when we tried it the other day.
Yeah. Castle and Keys Wheated Bourbon.
Okay.
I thought it was much better than their rye, but, still some edges to rough edges to smooth out. Flatboat Foolproof, which came out
There
this
you
year.
go.
Talked about that earlier. Pursuit Bourbon 7cc.
I have that.
Loved. But I love something else a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably agree on that.
Yeah. And I think Calumet 16 is going to be the last one that I mention on my honorables.
I'm going to say 2XO. I think that's an honorable. I think it's a new product that I highly enjoy. I like it enough, but I don't think I'm putting it in my top. I will say the Pursuit United, the ones we tried last night, the
Oh yeah,
products.
those two definitely go in honorable mentions.
The Blue Run High Rye.
I had that in mine as well.
Frank August.
Had that in mine as well.
I put Penelope. I don't know if there's a certain. I love their Architect this year, and they just have like some of their toasted stuff. There's so much Penelope out there that I just want to mention them, as well as Rare Character, just as a brand.
Yeah.
They're all picks mainly that I've had. I've not had Fortuna yet, but I think that
people are saying the Fortuna is amazing though.
Yeah, so I didn't get to try that yet, so I can't say that. But Rare Character picks that I've had, that as a brand, I think is something worth mentioning. The Wilderness Trail Rye, the Maple, I think that is one of the best things I've had, but you could only get it at the distillery, and so I didn't want to really put that on there. And then I'm going to say this, and we don't have to talk about it a lot, but it was the Russell's Reserve, the single rick that we had. I'm putting that in an honors because the price is really the only thing. Like that was a great pour last night.
I mean, I put it in my most disappointing because of how good it is as a Russell's product, but I cannot justify the price on it.
No,
I said it last
that.
night. There's just no way.
I get that. As if you take the price off of it, it was such a great experience. Like it's got funkiness from turkey. I'm just mentioning it because if you bought it, you've got a good product, but like me and Perry neither agree with the price. So if you took the price off of that, that would be a great pour. And I think it's just worth mentioning a little bit about. So
it's a good Russell's, but it's just not. Yeah, it's not good enough to be a limited edition product.
Yeah, no, from
it just
Wild
Turkey.
It sucks. If like I said, if that was 100 to 150, I would go try to find one now. But like $250 is just too much.
No,
but there we go. Oh, JD Bonded and Triple Mash. I put that in my honors.
Yeah, you said that when I said.
Did I? Oh, okay. Yeah, those were like creeping around like that 10 spot. Like I was like, ugh.
Yeah, so. It's funny because I stress out just as much anymore about the number 10 spot as I do the number 1.
It is. It's almost easier to do your top couple than the last couple.
Because the top the past few years, the top 10 has been, or the number 10 spot has been a product that has been released as like a new foray from a distillery or a new example of what they are doing.
Yeah.
That is no different this year for me.
I think I'm the same. Go for it.
Green River Bourbon.
Boom. 10 for me too.
There you go, man. I was so impressed with that.
Yeah. I'll echo what you said. It's like they brought out a brand new product that can compete with products that have been on the shelf for a while and allocated stuff. And it surprised me. Like I didn't expect to like it so much. I've liked it so much that I've bought multiple bottles of it. Like, and that's a big thing to me for a new product being a top whiskey of the year. I went back and I got more, or I went back and I poured it all in. So yeah, Green River is my top, is number 10 on my list as well.
Yeah. Number 9. What's yours?
Mine was one of your honors. It's the Willet 8-year wheated. This I know is a very controversial brand. Blah blah blah. But it was expensive. It was, I paid like $225 or something for this. But this product fits kind of what I like. I like Willet stuff. Like we've talked about it. Perry enjoys Willet stuff, but he's not like me. I enjoy that profile, and I was very happy with what I got. What I got. And then I went back to it and we had it and we were like, man, this has opened up even more.
Yeah.
It did. It was number 9 for me. Like it barely made it, but it did. It put an impression on me. So I had to put it on the list.
Yeah. My number 9 is Barrel Vantage.
Oh, I forgot about that. That would probably be, I'll put that on my honors, honestly.
Yeah.
That could have easily been like an 11 or 12.
Yeah. The best barrel product that came out this year.
100% agree.
By a long margin. I have almost treated it like an LE in the way that
it tastes like it.
But just in the way that like I am savoring the bottle. Like I'm taking my time with it. I'm not drinking a whole lot of it in one go.
Yeah.
It's just so good, man.
Yeah, hands down, best barrel product this year.
Absolutely killed it with that. So, number 8. This one for me was one of your honorable mentions.
Okay.
2XO Phoenix Blend.
There you go.
Yeah. It just goes to show that Dixon has not lost a single step since he left Kentucky Owl. The man just knows what he's doing.
And I think it shows that it's just going to get better from here too.
Like, every time that I go into a store, I have to resist the urge to buy another bottle.
Yeah. I had one at Ernie's and I was like, oh, no, I need another backup.
Yeah. So I saw a bunch at Liquor Barn the other day.
Yeah.
As well.
Great product.
Yeah, man.
My number 8, it was a late contender, but man, that Calumet 16.
Yeah.
I put it there. Like it's such a great product to be a source thing. And the experience around it too was fun, opening with Perry, and it's good. Like, I've not had like a lot of like the Sam Houstons and the Calumets and stuff like that, but for this one to come out, like this 16-year tasted like a great 16-year classic bourbon, and the price, I think for a 16-year, it was on the money. It was. I know I'm trying not to put price into any of this. I'm experience and taste and all that, but yeah, if you're on the fence about Calumet 16, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. No. It was tough having to put it in honorable mentions because I did like it so much, but that was definitely like a number 11.
Yeah,
for me, for sure. Number 7. What you got?
Larceny B522.
Hey, me too.
Same?
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
That's the one batch of Larceny and even the Logic Creek Barrel Proofs this year that I was like, I don't have a bottle of it and I want it so bad, but that thing impressed me so much.
Yeah.
It was hands down the best Larceny Barrel Proof that's come out ever.
Yeah.
And it made me want that more than this year's Logic Creek Barrel Proof. Like, freaking, I love that bottle so much.
Yeah. I think that it definitely set the tone too for what Heaven Hill has to do with Larceny Barrel Proof moving forward. Yeah. Just such a strong whiskey. Everything that I wanted a barrel proof wheater to be as well. So well done.
Yeah.
Hill. Number 6.
Number 6. What you got?
Russell's 13.
Number 6 for me. Master's Keep Unforgotten.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
I don't either. Because I think we have things that we're going to say a little bit
feel like
later
we're
in our
going to be
lists.
flipped a little bit here. So
It's kind of going that way, isn't it?
So what do you got? Okay, so both great pours,
Both
both
great.
Wild Turkey products.
Yeah.
Unforgotten was out of the last couple of Masters Keeps. Freaking, I think it's better. It's better than one. It runs right along the side of that 17. It's one of the more expensive bottles that I got that I have no regrets, and I'm so happy I got one. So
Yeah. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Okay.
The Russell's 13 that came out this year just blew me away.
I'm gonna pour it up. You got a little bit in there.
Yeah,
right?
I think my sample fell because I was kind of looking for it and I don't know where it is. But I will pour it up here in just a second.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
That's why it's number 5 on my list. I'm not even going to do like a drum roll for top 5 because we got to talk about it anyway. Russell's 13 for this year was my number 5. It's just Wild Turkey. That funky classic Wild Turkey. So good. 13 years. I can't say, I mean, when it first came out, the 2021, freaking amazing. And then this year was just as good, if not better. I love Russell's 13. I think it's so good.
Where the crap did that sample go? I gotta find it.
Is it not in the box?
No, you gave it to me on Tuesday.
No, I put it in the box.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's in the
yeah, you
box.
did.
Yeah, it's in the box. What's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Dude.
Russell's 13.
Russell's 13, 2022.
Well, my number 5 was Pursuit Rye 7cc.
There it is, baby.
There it is. Look, it's saying a lot that the top 4 I liked. It's even just slightly more to have to put it above.
Yeah.
Put them above Pursuit Rye.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my favorite rye that came out this year.
Oh, hands down. I've compared, ever since we had that, I've compared every rye I've got recently and even some older stuff to this rye.
Yeah.
It's my number 4.
Oh, man.
So, yes, my number 4 is Pursuit Spirits United Rye. I have absolutely loved this bottle. I've talked about it. I've paired it. We paired it earlier. I paired it with other stuff. It's just, I knew it was going to be good.
Yeah.
Because it was made by people just like us. It was made by people who are enthusiasts and have podcasts and love making content. But I never expected this rye to touch me so much. It really is one of the best ryes I've had ever.
On the same level as Handy, Sazerac,
Kentucky Owl.
Kentucky Owl,
All
right,
that.
absolutely. And the fact that it was $60 a bottle.
Yeah. I mean,
not unattainable.
Nope.
You know,
I can't sing this bottle's praises enough.
No,
I really can't. So number 4, And what, your number 5?
My number 5.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, my number 4 was Old Fitz 19.
Oh. I think I put that in honors. Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember what I exactly said about it that time, but like, yeah, it's a good pour.
Just, the rumors have kind of been going around that after 22, Heaven Hill was going to be discontinuing the decanter series of Old Fitzgerald Bottled and Bond. If that's the case, and this was their last hurrah, I couldn't imagine a better way for them to go out.
Yeah.
I mean, just an all-around incredible wheated Bottled and Bond.
That was one that I felt wasn't too oaky, and the proof didn't hurt it, because I feel like my main complaints about those bottles are usually a little bit too much oak, or, man, this will be better, a little higher proof. And that one was a very well put together bourbon.
Yeah, I totally agree. Number 3.
Top 3.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Go for it, man.
Heaven Hill 17 year.
Wild Turkey Unforgotten.
Oh, there it is. I knew it'd be on there.
Actually wound up putting Heaven Hill 17 in my honorable mentions.
Okay.
I love that bottle. I had things that I loved more than it.
Yeah, I get it.
And I had to really, really wrestle with whether or not it needed to be in my top 10. Honestly,
that bottle,
yeah. We'll talk. I'm gonna wrap up my half of that conversation in a minute. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, Heaven Hill 17. I don't know. I feel like that's one of the first things we reviewed in 2022, and it kept an impression on me the whole year.
Yeah,
and it was one of the few bottles that I was like kind of FOMO about. I was like, ugh, like so much goodness in that bottle, and I couldn't get it out of my head. And I compared it to things in my head, and we had it the other day, and it reassured me. And yeah, I just got a number 3, Heaven Hill 17.
That's how I felt with the Unforgotten. It kept coming back up.
Yeah,
in my head, and to have given it an almost perfect score too.
Mm-hmm.
I was amazed by it, man. It's nice to have a Wild Turkey product in my top 3.
Yeah, no, I get it.
2 in my top 6, because I feel like it's been a couple of years with Wild Turkey having pretty good limited releases. Of course, 21 with Russell's Reserve 13 being, it was the first year that it was ever out, and it was fantastic. But it just has been a while since that distillery has done this well in my eyes. So, I don't know. Wild Turkey might be my distillery of the year. I don't know. I have a hard time with between my top 3, and you're gonna see why.
I get it.
You're gonna see why.
Top 2.
Wilderness Trail 8 year.
There it is. I knew it'd be up there.
Yeah. 3 bourbons that made me cry this year, and they're my top 3. And the first of them was Wilderness Trail 8.
Everything about that bottle, just love. Everything surrounding it.
Yeah. It just, to have waited for so long for that bottle, for that product, and all of the expectations that we had for it to be met and then exceeded.
Yeah.
Just killer. Just absolutely killer, man. So, number 2, Wilderness Trail
Number
8.
2. Nice. And number 2, Parker's Heritage. One of two. I mean, I think we see where this is going.
Yeah.
One of 2 reviews we did, and I know I said earlier, like, oh, I'm not looking at my reviews, but like, it doesn't matter.
This is the only
like,
case where the
top
reviews kind of made a difference.
Perfect scores.
Perfect scores.
Parker's Heritage blew me the frick away. It made me just love everything about Heaven Hill. I love what that bottle does for people. The proceeds go to, and I thought it was going to be hard to top the Heavy Char, which I absolutely love, and it blew me away. Anybody when we posted that we reviewed that, people have asked me, and I'm like, worth the price, worth the waiting. It is amazing. 20 out of 20. So yeah, Parker's Heritage, number 2 for me. Number 1. If you haven't figured out what's happening right now, you just stop. You got it. I know people listening are like, "Oh, I figured this out." I'm pouring up your number 1. You pour up my number 1.
I'm also pouring up my number 1 as well.
Let's pour up all the number 1s. Let me get yours over here.
For all of the reasons that you gave about your number 2, the quality of the product, what it means, what it does for folks who need help, and for it to just friggin' come out of nowhere this late in the game. Just stunned. Stunned by it.
Just say it.
The Parker's Heritage double-barreled 13 and 15-year-old blend. 132.2 proof. I mean, not only is it everything that I want in a barrel-proof product, it is everything that I want from a Heaven Hill product.
Yep. After all the disappointment in Elijah Craig barrel proof and all that stuff.
This made up for it. This was worth the wait. This was worth the extra hemming and hawing that we went through this year going, what are they doing is, and I don't think we ever really said it out loud, but there was that kind of undertone of, is this a Connor O'Driscoll thing? Like, is this, the new guy syndrome where we were so used to Denny Potter before he left, and then Connor comes in but it can't be because he didn't distill any of this. It's not like he's going in and making the final blends more than likely either. It just everything I wanted and more from Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
Not just this year, but for all times.
Right. Yeah.
This is one of those bottles that we were talking about earlier where there is a little bit of FOMO, and I am going to have to get one.
Oh, yeah.
I am going to have to get a bottle of this. I cannot deny the fact that I need it in my collection. I need to have this as a timestamp. I think about this in the same way that I have Elijah Craig C918, the Knob Creek Cast Strength 12-year. I mean, just I have to have this bottle.
Yeah, I agree.
Man, I just can't say enough good things about it.
No.
And to echo what you said too, yeah, it was one of 2 products that we gave a perfect score to this year. The first ever year that we have given a product a perfect score. And the fact that we had 2 in the same year was phenomenal. And I think it also goes to show a couple of things. One, you don't have to be this big name heritage brand production scale, high production scale business distillery to make an overly exceptional product.
Nope.
And that's like at 100 proof and 8 years old, I couldn't have asked for a better bourbon from Wilderness Trail.
So you know what my number one is.
I know what your number one is.
Yeah. Hopefully, if you're listening, you know what my number one is.
You figured it out by now.
It's the 8-year Wilderness Trail, baby.
And look, the reason that I didn't put it at my number one is because I do prefer barrel proof. That is the only criteria that really separated the two. But honestly, they both kind of hold a number one spot for me.
Oh, I could
like I could have tied them for number one.
Yep.
And been happy about it. But when I think about everything that makes a bourbon so special to me, Parker's double barreled won out just ever so slightly. But
I mean, we're flipped on our ones and twos, and I'm not mad at that at all.
I'm not either.
You've said everything good about Wilderness Trail. I think just that brand I love so much, and the fact that they put out an 8-year product that can compete with distilleries that have been around way longer and put out way higher age things just blows my mind. Like that this newer distillery, I know they're getting to the point where they're not newer anymore, but they're still younger than like
they're old enough to have 8-year bourbon.
Yeah, an 8-year bourbon. But I think the fact that there was nothing disappointing about it. Like we hyped it up and we've been excited about this, and it went over our expectations. And I just get so many notes. It's such a good bourbon to pair things with. Like you get so many different things. It's just, I don't know, man. Like the Parker's is so special too. And one day I may say like, I prefer the Parker's, and one day, but right now it's Wilderness Trail 8-year.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we have the same top two should be a good indication of what, that both of these are just amazing pours.
Yeah. Part of me like feels like I'm betraying Wilderness Trail because I put them at number 2. But
I struggled a little bit too. I mean,
it's a preference thing.
Yeah,
more than
and
anything.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's our preference, and I think if you get down to, you freaking had 40 honorable mentions and then top 10, and
I know
they're at number 2. Nothing wrong, and the same goes for me. Like I could easily put Parker's there, and different things made me put it at number 1. But all in all, I think freaking 10-bip top 10 lists. I mean, I'm not mad at any of that stuff.
This is one of my favorite top 10 lists that I've gotten to put together.
And you can say all you want. People can say all they want about 2022 being disappointments and stuff, but like, I would take these 10 pours and put them up against years past and probably things in the future.
Yeah.
So.
I one parting thought too, because this is something that people have had an ongoing discussion about over the past few years. This is proof to me that we should not discount and we should not take out of the conversation whether or not bottled and bond is important or whether or not it has value. When it is done right, when it is attended to correctly, and when the people who make it know what they're doing, it produces some of the best bourbon or whiskey that you are ever going to have.
Yep.
And Wilderness Trail proved that.
Yep.
This year. I said like maybe Turkey was my distillery of the year, but it's such a toss up between them, Wilderness Trail, and Heaven Hill.
Yeah, I had a hard time figuring out that. Like,
it was pretty easy last year naming Maker's Mark.
Yeah,
because they just consistently were putting out great products.
Yeah.
But this year, it's tough. And I'm inclined to say Wilderness Trail, honestly. But I don't know. I'm having a tougher time with this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to say that Wilderness Trail, they put out their first, even though it was distillery only, kind of like a little side project for some of the people there. They put out the maple. That was really good. All their picks have been good. They started doing like the family reserve things, and like they made cash too. Like, I know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they've cleaned up.
They've cleaned up. Like, I think they did great. I mean, Heaven Hill just continues to always put out good stuff. Wild Turkey always puts out good stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can put a top, but I can say those are probably my top 3 of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. There's your list, people. You just made the list.
I don't know. It's like, other than moving on to our next segment, I don't know what else to say other than it was a friggin' good year of bourbon and rye, man.
And friggin' like, comment. Tell us what you agree with. Tell us what you do. I mean, honestly, like, there's nothing wrong with agreeing or disagreeing with somebody's list. Like, it's everybody's opinion, and it's fun to make lists. Like, tell us what's your number one. Tell us what's your worst. Tell us what we thought was what you think we were wrong about. We don't care. Like, who cares? Just do it.
It's part of the conversation. Keep the conversation going.
Just don't talk about our kids or anything like that.
Yeah,
just
screw you.
Leave them out of it. Jeez.
Why would you ever talk about somebody's kids like that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You want to buy my collection?
Do you have any high proof hot takes this week?
High proof hot takes. I think if you are a part of the Patreon, you will probably have figured out mine. Mine was just don't just trash a full year of whiskey and say I'm not making a list because you think that nothing like fits your palate or whatever, or everything was disappointing. It's 2022. You can list the stuff you had just in 2022 and make a list about it. It's fine. You're not cool if you're just like, I'm not making a list. That's stupid. So that's my high proof hot take.
I don't really have one this week. Maybe a social media thing again too. But kind of piggybacking off of something Dave Jennings said on Patreon last night, Rarebird 101. He specifically was commenting on how there was a selection of people who were definitively saying that the third batch of Russell's 13 blows the first 2 batches out of the water, and there's no way that it can compete, and blah 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 blah. Social media is such a cesspool, and it's easy to fall into that trap. Just remember that it's okay to have opinions, but they're just like buttholes.
Yeah, everybody's got one, baby.
And it's best to keep them to yourself sometimes.
Noting on that, like, comparing last year's Russells to this year's, like, they're both great. And, like, I don't know if I could pick one over the other. I mean, they're both good. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. Just, it's okay to like and dislike. Just be freaking, you don't have to be a turd about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk bad about Texas whiskey all the time, but I don't call anybody out about it.
Oh, tips and bits, though.
Ooh,
These are the last tips and bits of 2022.
I got a good one that I was going to share it with you earlier, but I wanted to save it just to tell you.
I have two, but I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
Because I'm a gentleman.
Because you're a gentleman. So, I love sneakers.
What?
And I have said this before in Tips and Bits, but one of my favorite fashion sneaker interviewers and stuff is Joe LaPuma. He is the host of the Complex Sneaker Podcast. He is the host of Sneaker Shopping, which he takes celebrities and guests sneaker shopping, but he interviews them at the same time. But what is that similar to? There's somebody that Perry loves that takes people some hot sauce and he interviews them as they have hot sauce. Sean Evans.
Yeah.
Right? Is that his name? Sean Evans?
Yeah.
Complex has a YouTube show called Goat Talk, and it's two people who answer each other's questions. Sean Evans and Joe LaPuma are on the same episode.
No way!
Yes, and they are friends. Sean Evans has been on Sneaker Shopping, but they have
he seems like a sneaker guy.
Yeah, they have a snack. I need a snack. I'm getting hungry. They have a stack of questions.
I'm gonna finish.
And they answer questions. I wish, man. If I was over there, I'd be eating all that up. But yeah, it's about a 20-minute episode on Complex. It's called Goat Talk, and it's them two just talking to each other. What's the best Hot Ones meme? What's the best meme that came out of sneaker shopping? What is your top sneaker moment? What is your top celebrity interview? And they just talk about the same things because their shows are so similar, but they're different. One interviews people while they do hot sauce and wings. One interviews people while they sneaker shop. And it's 20 minutes of you will just smile the whole time because they're laughing together. They're talking about guests that surprised them, guests that said this, and funny moments, and like, what's your favorite sneaker and all this stuff. And like it's so awesome. And it was like, I watched that and I was just like, man, this is like me and Perry right now. Like, this is like, he loves Hot Ones.
Do you want to know the worst episode
sneakers.
of Hot Ones? Have I told you this before? It's the one with DJ Khaled.
Oh no.
It is. It's from a few years ago. And
we the best.
It is horrible. I mean, he disrespects Sean. He gets through, I think, 2 out of the 10 wings, and he quits.
I could see that so much.
The whole time talking about how he's never taken an L and how he's so great and how
That's
DJ Khaled,
baby.
this, that, and that, whatever. And Sean is like, it's a great example of how good of a host Sean is, because the entire time he is just slyly putting in these digs at Khaled, and he rides the wave. He finishes his wings.
Yeah.
Like he goes through all 10 and Khaled's just sitting there and talking to him like a
so
moron.
Funny. That's so funny because like I have a pair of DJ Khaled sneakers. Like he does great collabs, but like I have like a love-hate with him because it's the same thing. It's like, oh, he's over the top. It's funny and all that. But sometimes it's like, and they talk about in this episode, spoiler alert, one of the big meme moments of sneaker shopping and Complex Closets was DJ Khaled said, "Congratulations, you played yourself." Like that was from that.
Oh, was that from that? Okay.
Yeah, but Joe tells him they showed up at his house to film his closet, his collection, and he didn't like the lights that they had, and said, "You're not doing this because of the lights." So they had to leave, find better lights, and come back the next day to do this. So they talk about this too. Like so, this this week it's just YouTube for me, and that show Goat Talk on Complex. Perry will love it, and I think people listening will love it because it's like a blend of like all the things that me and you like to talk about.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Complex owns First We Feast, too, which
like,
is who does.
They talked about like Sean was a writer, Joe was a writer, and then like they got their own shows and stuff like that. So like I think they have a lot of interactions probably off camera too, like that they know each other.
I'm sure they do. Yeah. I actually am also going to recommend a YouTube channel. Vic Burger.
Vic Burger.
Vic. VICBER.
Thick Burger.
Vic.
Thick Burger.
All right, Mr. Hands.
No, don't even. Okay, Vic Burger. Gotcha.
Vic Burger.
Right.
He does these incredibly awkward edits
Oh, I love that.
of people like Jim Baker, who is a televangelist, who got he got sent to prison for scamming people, essentially, and he got out, and now he's doing it again.
Of course.
Basically.
Of course.
He did it a bunch with, and it's just like hyper intensive awkwardness,
Yeah.
like just overblowing it to the point where like I can watch maybe about 30 minutes of it, but I need a break. And like maybe for the rest of the day I need a break. But it is so well edited and it's so funny, and there's so many little just like recurring jokes, recurring gags throughout what he does. I just it's so goofy, man. I'll send you one of my favorites.
Yeah, send me one
Later.
I love awkward stuff. Like I'm stepping on your shoes here, but there's just moments on Impractical Jokers where April has to leave because
Lucy gets the same way.
Yeah, so I love that stuff.
But one of my favorites, if I want to point people to a specific one, it's a compilation of a bunch of videos that he made, but it's essentially I think it's called like the rise and fall of Jeb Bush, and it chronicles his campaign during the 2016 presidential election. And just all of the awkward, sad moments that man had during it. And I just like, I forgot how sad it was watching him campaign to be president and just not getting the response that he wanted or felt like he needed. And there's when he announced that he was suspending his campaign, I don't know if you remember this or not, but he held a press conference and he said something to the effect of, "Don't feel bad for me because tonight I get to go home and sleep in the same bed as my best friend." Talking about his wife. And I just like,
Oh my God.
and I just like out loud was like, "Jeb, no, buddy,
Respect.
Jeb.
Respect, baby.
Jeb, no, buddy."
Respect.
Just like a lost puppy, like just feeling
Respect.
yeah. Anyway, it Vic Burger, very funny
Vic
guy.
Burger. Got it.
And then my other one is a book that I finished this past week. I finished it. I could not stop listening to this book. I'm at the point where I am already considering going back and listening to it again and getting a physical copy and just like, and I gave it 5 stars. I haven't liked a book this much in a long time. And we've actually already talked about this man on the podcast.
DJ Khaled? Perry's going to read another one. Congratulations, you just read yourself.
Imagine if that was the 180, the heel turn that I took.
I would love that. I would have died.
I was like, I can't stand DJ Khaled, but his memoir is amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
No, it's Matthew McConaughey's book.
Oh, yeah, you're telling me about this.
Green Lights.
Yeah.
It basically chronicles his whole life up until 2020, when he went to the desert with no electricity for 52 days to write this book.
52 days.
52 days. He sifted through. Now, and you discover this over the course of the book, but that is not something that he is unfamiliar with. Just up and leaving and going on these adventures without electricity, without communication to the outside world. But he sifted through journals and Post-its and recordings and so many different things to write this book. And it is some of the most fascinating storytelling and recalling that
recollections.
Sure. Memoirs that I have ever read or listened to. And I'd said that I wanted to highlight one of the passages and talking about taking ownership in things that you do. And he was talking about when he was in 7th grade, I think. He entered into a poetry competition at his school. And he wrote a poem, took it to his mom and said, "What do you think?" She didn't like it. She pulls out a poetry book and flips through it, finds one, says, to Matthew, "What do you think about this poem?" He goes, "Well, I liked it." She goes, "Then write that." And he wrote down that poem and submitted it to the competition, and he won the competition.
That guy is like a friggin' mystery to me.
He is so enigmatic, and he's so just he's like a characterization, like a cartoon version of himself.
Like Nicolas Cage,
you know, like there's a story about one night he went to University of Texas, and there was one time that he was back in Austin. He went to a football game. They had a losing record all season, and then they played their rivals and demolished them, and he partied for like 36 hours straight. And by the end of his partying, he went home and he decided that it was time to light up his bong, put on his favorite music, strip down naked, open up the windows, and play them bongos.
There it is.
And he got arrested for it.
And the rest is history.
Completely buck naked. Got arrested for
Respect.
it. It's so good. Just a fascinating read. And, you know, somebody who is, you know, of course, tangentially related to what we do, bourbon. But he never makes a mention. He makes one mention of it. I take that back. And it's within like the last 30 minutes of the book, where he says something like he's going through all the cool things that he's gotten to do. And he just goes, "I became the creative director for Wild Turkey." And then that's it.
Okay.
And he's just done. But it's fun, man. It's awesome. Fun, easy read or listen.
He sounds just, I mean, you can make fun of him and be like, whatever, but like, he sounds just like one of the most interesting people ever.
He is.
Yeah.
There's 3 separate times that if your kids are around, you might want to cover their ears. But 3 separate times that he set out on a certain course or a certain adventure because he had a wet dream.
Oh, Lord.
As an adult male.
Oh, God.
So
that's how I became a nurse.
You had a wet dream?
Yeah.
And you woke up from a dream where you saw a sexy nurse or what?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool.
I'll tell you later.
We'll put it in the book that we're going to write.
Yeah.
In 10 years. Sure. On a sincere note, I want to say thank you to everybody who has listened to all 5,000 minutes worth of content that we have put out this year. Not even including the Patreon stuff, the YouTube stuff. This has been such a fulfilling year, a reinvigorating year of doing this show, and one that has reminded me of why I set out to do this in the first place 5 years ago.
Yeah.
A big part of that, too, has been having Eric by my side, having Swan by my side, having so much support and so many open conversations about where am I in life? Where's my head at? And being more comfortable with having those conversations with people and being better for them.
Yeah.
So it may not have been, if you look at it on a numeric scale, the most successful year for the show. Somehow 2020 was the most successful year for the podcast. But it has been easily one of my favorites and one of the best on record. So I love you guys. Eric, I love you, man.
I love you, buddy.
I'm so thankful. I'm so happy with...
Thank you for keeping me around another year.
I'm not letting you go. You signed a lifetime contract.
Well, I plan to take over the show someday. So.
Yeah, I know you do.
No, thank everybody too. I'll just say that. Like, thank you, Perry, for keeping me around. Let me try so many new things that I normally wouldn't have got to try. Taking me to festivals and just being there and being my best friend, and just I enjoy this, and I enjoy everybody that listens and comments and sends us messages and samples. Like, you keep me motivated. Like, sometimes when I'm on social media and I get pissed, and then I remember, oh wait, I met a lot of good people on here. Then I remember that it's all for fun. So
yep,
keep whiskey fun, and listen and watch.
Hashtag keep whiskey fun.
Hashtag it. You know what else you can do?
Tell me.
You can go to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. Yes, I may have said My Bourbon Pod a few times, but go to Patreon/mybourbonpodcast and support the show. You can give us $1. It just supports us. But I will say at $5, you get a lot of extra content. Like, between the extra content that we put out, like, you get double of everything. If you're just listening right now on this, you're getting some great content, but you're not getting everything.
Especially when we extend an episode of a Patreon thing that normally goes about 20 minutes and we go over an hour.
Yeah. And that's probably going to happen a lot more times. So
yeah, we're actively planning on doing that more next year.
$5, patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. You get Pours from the Floor. You get Sample Irresistible. We're going to do a new show. You're going to get extra pregame chats. You're going to get this episode uncut if you just want to hear us fart and stuff. Like, that's what you get. That. Sometimes.
Well,
we fart out our mouth. That's a burp.
Never mind.
Yeah. So patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. If you want to send us an email, you can send an email to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. That's just if you want to send us something, get our address, send us something to review, ask us to pair something. We'll do it. Like, honestly, like, seriously, send us a message, like a direct message, anything. If you want to leave a voicemail on the barrel rings, it's 859-428-8253. You leave a voicemail, we play it, we reply to it, you're on the podcast. Easy as that. If you want to go to social media, on all social media, it's at My Bourbon Pod. You can follow Perry at PRitter1792. You can follow me at Whiskey Mutant. We have a Facebook group that is pretty active in there. This is My Bourbon Podcast Facebook group. Answer a few questions. You'll get invited in as long as you're not pinto beans and something. I'm just we don't want anybody trying to sell their collection in the Facebook group. You can go to YouTube. This is My Bourbon Podcast on YouTube. You can watch this episode that we're talking about right now. If you are listening to it, Perry goes live every Thursday. I was recently on that. I try to join him when I can. So all the video version of the podcast and live streams are on YouTube. This is My Bourbon Podcast. Just tell people about us, share it, like, subscribe, all the stuff the kids say. Leave a review, hit the bell, leave a review. Perry mentioned it earlier at the top of the episode. Leave a review. We want to read it out. everybody who leaves a review in January, we're going to try to do a giveaway. We want some more reviews. That helps us out. I don't freaking understand anything about the fucking algorithm. But
you decided twice there what words you wanted
I was
to
trying
use,
to
and
be
it cracked me
nice,
up.
and then I said, you know what? I hate that thing. I don't understand it at all. Perry understands a little bit more. He said, leave a review. I say leave a review. Do it. We'll be putting a giveaway. We'll put some samples. Do we have enough for our 1s and 2s? God, I don't want to give that up. I don't know.
Well, like I said, I need to find a bottle.
Well, if we find a bottle, you may
by
get one. I
the
don't know.
end of January. Yeah,
I may have Perry keep that one around so we can share it again. Either way, I got plenty of Wilderness Trail 8 year that I would send, and I've got plenty of Hidden Bar, and I said I'd give my worst bourbon over here. Hidden Bar, sorry, but yeah, like just share it, share everything, send us a message, all that, anything you want us to do. We love you guys. It's like I said, another year gone by, but I've had so much fun in being a part of this, and I've enjoyed all the stuff you guys send in the comments, and you guys keep it going. I think Perry would agree, but
yeah,
that's all I had to say.
And
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you had a great Christmas too.
Yeah.
Next year, even
big review.
The first episode of the year, we are going to reintroduce ourselves because this has been going on for 5 years. We wanted to make sure that people had a good jumping off point. We wanted to talk about our bourbon journeys, our whiskey journeys, and how we got to this point with the podcast and all that good stuff. And we've got one heck of a review planned for you.
Big review. Stay tuned.
It's topical. Well, I'll say that much.
We may tease it just a little bit for the next episode.
It's like aloe.
Yeah.
Aloe vera.
Topical.
It's topical.
I got burnt by bacon one time, and that stuff saved my life.
Ugh. Yikes.
Yeah. I made bacon. I was like 8 years old and made bacon in the microwave. We had this little bacon tray.
Collects all the grease.
Poured it all over me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's an episode. There you go.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching and listening. We love you guys so much. We will see you in the new year. See you next year. Hey.
We'll see you next year.
Until then, though, I'm Perry.
I'm Eric.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.
It is.